All right, we got one last topic in today's show. It is brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, Sundays move fast. One big play, suddenly everything feels a lot different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, guys, we're going to talk Cavs to wrap up today's show. Evan Mobley's out for the next 2 to 4 weeks with a calf strain. Jason, with Mobley out of the lineup, who on the Cavs roster do you believe has to step up the most to kind of change the trajectory of this team right
Tyson.
now?
Donovan Mitchell. Keep going, buddy. Keep going. Keep pulling the rope.
They are a disaster right now.
It's a mess right now. It's a mess. Who has to step up, man? Anybody? Like, pass the hat? Does anybody want to contribute to this?
This was supposed to be the easy part of it. They have 6. They're in the middle of a streak of 6 straight games where they're playing the worst teams in the NBA.
Coming off a week off.
And they've had to come back in the fourth quarter in both games. The first one they did win. The second one, they lose in overtime, but they don't score a single point in overtime. Chicago stinks. Chicago got off to a good start. Now, what did they lost, like 10 in a row or something, or 9 out of 10? Charlotte's terrible. New Orleans is terrible. So until Christmas Day, where they play the Knicks, it's terrible. Like, why would you even watch right now? Honestly?
I mean, I told Mike they should win 5 of 6 in that stretch coming out of that week off, and they've already dropped one.
Didn't score in overtime, the entire overtime. How is that possible in the NBA?
Darius Garland.
It hasn't happened in a decade.
Led the team.
What's that, Mike?
Team hasn't gone scoreless in overtime before Sunday night in a decade. It was 2015 was the last time.
I can't even believe it happened at all.
I'm Team JB Bickerstaff.
This is the problem.
Tyvis, who has to step up then? Give me a name. Stop dodging the question.
Jalen Tyson. I said it when you asked Jason. Jalen Tyson been the only bright spot for me and the Cavs this season. Period. For the past 6-7 games, Jalen Tyson has been arguably one of the best players on the Cavs.
He's the only one with heart.
The rest of them, DG ball last game. Shout out to DG.
I mean, that's the right answer. Is Darius? It has to be Darius.
He did, and they just lost.
Well, what about Jared Allen in the past with Mobley?
What about him?
Jared Allen can't get on the court in the fourth quarter, even with Evan out.
But he's been the guy who's played well in the past when Mobley's been hurt.
I told you about 3 years ago about Jared Allen.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I told you, listen, he's a role guy.
You know what's going to happen? Donovan's going to turn into the Donovan show. Overutilize himself.
He'll get hurt.
Get hurt right before the playoffs, like he always does. They'll be out in the second round.
Man.
I mean, the two scariest
second round. They're not winning the first round without Donovan Mitchell.
The two scariest words in the NBA right now are calf strain.
We talked about that last week.
Like
that's the whole season.
The entire league. This is a thing, and I mean, our John Hollinger wrote about it and about the grind of the NBA Cup. And the NBA, the next day, had a letter to the editor in the New York Times about no. Get your facts straight here.
Man.
So this is a very, very sensitive topic right now.
I mean, never going to go from 82 games. They're never going to cut it.
The NBA is to me, is awful right now. It's never been worse.
So here's
the Thunder.
Disagree, Mike?
The Thunder's going to win.
I do disagree.
We need to just fast forward to the finals where the Thunder wins.
I just find it completely unwatchable.
This is the problem when you start penciling people in. Y'all, you cannot, just because there's other injuries. I've always had an issue with this. There was injuries with the Pacers. There's injuries with the Knicks. And every single year with this Cavs group, what we tend to do is we just make it where it's like, oh, by default, since the Cavs have the same people and the people are injured. No, every single year we do that. It's another team that beat them. They lost to 3 different squads. They get beat by
the Celtics are without their best player,
and they're still smashing.
Still have a better record than the Cavs.
They still giving you buckets. Like, that's the problem. So I'm looking at this team, and now that you got Evan Mobley with the Achilles injury or the strained calf. Strained calves is a nice little cute word.
That could be a precursor for a torn Achilles.
That's a small cute little word for a slight tear. I'm just telling you what it is. And then you got a guy like Mobley who you're asking to do more. You're asking for him to have the ball. You're asking him to move and cut and be a creator. That takes a lot of toll on your body and your lower body.
What's his injury?
Calf strain.
It's.
Oh, well, you packed that.
They are across the league. Calf strains are.
Well, I want to get back to something. I said that the NBA, to me, is the least watchable it's been in my entire lifetime.
Why?
Mike disagrees. Because a lot of the best players, there's too much resting. And so
everybody's hurt.
Well, guys used to just play. How come they didn't get hurt then?
They're more athletic now.
Well, but they're not in good enough shape. They're not in basketball shape.
I mean, if you're more athletic, you're doing a lot of crazy stuff. Okay, so
did superstars play more often back in the day?
This is a really long, nuanced discussion.
Okay, but
how deep do you want to go?
Not that deep, but
surface level. Answer it, but don't really answer it.
Superstars
answer it, but make me right.
more in the 80s and 90s than they do now.
Yes.
So that means that's part of the reason the game was better because they played.
Has the game evolved?
The game has evolved.
They're also bigger, stronger. They're bigger, stronger, faster now.
I agree.
They're more talented.
Now, wait a second. This is where we get carried away. There's more depth of talent. I don't buy that the top players are more talented. There's more depth of talent.
You're missing the bigger point in all of this.
The bigger point is that every team plays the same.
No.
All they do is chuck threes, and it's boring.
Well, you're changing the topic now. Let's go back to the injuries. The injuries, I believe, a big part of this is the specialization of sports.
Yeah.
And you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And
you're
not using different muscle groups.
Yes.
And it goes back to the trainers we were talking about. Everybody's got every quarterback in America now has got a trainer or high school quarterback. But when you're playing one sport, when you're specializing in one sport, and you're doing this, and you're only working those muscles over and over and over.
They get their kids, every parent thinks there's probably all these kids here, their parents probably think they're going to play in the NBA. None of these kids are going to play in the NBA. He's waving his hand.
Way to kill their dreams, Adam. Sorry, guys.
I'm just teasing you guys. Maybe one of you will play in the NBA, but probably not.
Hey,
you guys are not big enough. You're not big enough. Get out of here. He's tall, but he doesn't look athletic enough. I'm just kidding.
It worked out for our parents. They say you're gonna do something. You're gonna figure it out. You'll play three
we
sports.
We used to play different sports the year round. You go to the park and play. Kids don't do that anymore. But they're on their phones. They don't make any plans on their own.
I'm sure these kids probably played outside.
Raise your hand if you make plans with your friends and you actually go play sports on your own, but not organized. All right, it's more than I thought.
Looks like
hold that out.
Shut up, boys.
We'll see if they are. All right, I like it.
One of the things with basketball is when you go watch, I'm a big fan of like Rico Hines and some of these open runs. People don't understand. These guys are playing. I'm not even talking about Olympic years. These guys are playing in the summer 3, 4, 5 times a day in the summer. And they're going hard. That's where you get better.
I'd rather watch those games, G, than this.
In the 80s, they sat on the couch and smoked cigarettes.
Yeah, right. And they were fun to watch, Jason, because we actually had guys beating each other up in the paint. It was physical. This game is so boring.
He wants to go back to the physical, and they're already hurt. Right?
Go chuck threes.
That's all they do. Everybody chucks threes, Mike. Am I wrong?
There's more threes being taken than there ever has. That is factually correct.
Boring.
But when you say every team plays the same, that just means you're too I'm going to tell basketball stupid to understand the differences in how teams get to the shots they're taking.
That's all you got is insults because you got no legit argument.
You've been insulting people for the last 11 minutes.
It's all right.
You said he's not athletic. You said he's too short.
I'm keeping it real.
Hey, Jason, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Come on.
Bull keeps saying the league is not as physical as it used to be. And in a certain extent, he's right.
That's true.
They don't clothesline guys down in the paint. Do you think if Bull came to a game and was sitting in the first 2-3 rows and could actually see the physicality of the game?
I sat at a Cavs playoff game. I was sitting on the court. Kevin Love almost fell on my lap. It's not the same.
How you get them seats?
I got people.
Oh.
My question, though, do you think Bull would be surprised at how physical the NBA still actually is if he was
I understand it's physical.
Yes.
I understand they're great athletes. I find the style of play. Here's the sad part.
So it's a you issue.
Here's the sad part.
They're better athletes today than ever.
Is that
Go ahead.
The NBA could be the best sport on the planet, but because there's a lot of because analytics again, and I'm an analytics guy, but analytics has really been bad for the NBA because it leads guys to playing very similar styles. Mike, don't tell me there's not a very similar styles with most teams. I know it's not every team. I like Houston. Houston's actually fun to watch. Why? Because they actually have some more physicality.
Because you like post-up basketball, which is fine.
Exactly.
I do too.
You're telling me you don't prefer that basketball.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna go scientific. It is scientifically proven that between your formative ages of between say 15 and 30,
Right.
Those are your prime years. So you would probably say music during that time was better too.
Way better. Music now
we
sucks.
go. See, so music is better,
Yeah.
sports is better because that's your wheelhouse.
But I think football's better now.
You listen to the things that, and by the way, that era is the golden era. It's Jordan, it's Bird, it's Magic.
That was the best.
They give you narrative.
But it wasn't just that.
it
was the guys that would beat the crap out of each other. The Celtics, the Pistons, the Knicks.
You probably
do you like
Patrick
hockey?
Ewing. What?
Do you like hockey? Just out of curiosity.
Go Jackets.
Hockey's boring.
Blue Jackets.
It's fun in person, hockey, but it's boring to watch on TV.
Tyvus,
you don't give a rat's you know what about the Blue Jackets.
They're not doing well.
They're an irrelevant team.
They're not doing well.
They're the most irrelevant team in all of sports.
No, the Sacramento Kings.
That
Come
just
on.
came. Who just wrote that article saying that?
Bill Simmons did.
Yeah.
But this
and
current,
right.
can you imagine if you had these current NBA athletes playing the 80s style? It'd be great. You know, I know they're a bunch of softies, but they'd have to toughen up. And it would be great. It would be exciting if you saw real post play.
There are clips on the internet that show Michael Jordan just getting to the rim with no touch, just finger rolling.
So you want to go back to 92-86?
You want to go 86,
Finals.
right?
Yes.
Like the final score, 92-86.
Jason, I don't care about how many points they score when it's just chucking threes. It's boring.
I would move back. I got a question.
Hang on.
By the way, Larry Bird and Michael, what did Bird average for his career?
1 sec.
Hang on.
29.
I've told the
Bird
story.
be averaging 40 a game, and Jordan be averaging 50 a game if they played now.
Well, he's not a 3-point
Easy.
shooter.
I think I've told the story before.
Bird is not a 3-point shooter?
Michael.
Oh,
go ahead.
I think I've told the story before, like circa 2000-ish, when it was like the Sixers were in the finals and the Nets were in the finals, and
Don't
it was
you dare
like
disparage my Nets.
it was like 88-84 NBA Finals games. Jerry Colangelo and David Stern.
But that wasn't the case in the 80s.
But it was the physical style that
But they were scoring a lot of points in the 80s, and it was still physical.
Well, you're going to ruin my story. I still want to tell my story.
Go ahead.
Colangelo and David Stern went in a room and said, we're going to change the rules. We're going to open the game. The league voted it down and said, we don't want to do that. And Jerry Colangelo and David Stern said, go back in the room and vote again. And
bullies.
That is what led, like you're want to talk about bullies. And that led to, over time, what you see today with the three-point style and with the pace and space and everything else. It all started 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when Colangelo and David Stern forced them to change the rules of the game.
Bull, do you like college basketball?
No.
Why not?
St. John's.
I like St. John's, but they suck right now. They're not playing well.
So is part of the reason you don't like college basketball because they miss a lot of shots?
Now, college basketball, when I watch it, it's not that I don't like it, I just don't watch it. But when I do watch it, I like it better than the NBA.
I hate it.
I don't like college basketball at all.
I will tell you this.
Do you like it better because...
I will tell you this even though I don't watch it. The WNBA is more interesting than the NBA because in the WNBA, they play 80s-style basketball.
But you just said you don't watch it.
I just don't have time, Jason. What do I got time to watch?
He went to
You
the
watch
time
84
factor.
shows a week.
He watched.
I'm a busy man.
Bro, you got
You woke up
Hulu,
at 5 o'clock to watch
Netflix,
Stranger
don't
Things.
Paramount.
Let me ask you this.
I don't have time to watch it.
Is baseball fun to watch now or back in the 80s?
80s was better.
Yeah, it was. I agree with that.
80s was
Because
better.
everybody plays for the three-run home right now.
But it was boring.
But, no, it wasn't.
They took 20 minutes to throw a pitch.
No, the rules now are better. In terms of the quickness of the game is better. The problem with baseball today is the disparity between the haves and have-nots is so big. That's a major negative. And even though the owners are all evil, I'm actually going to side with them in this dispute, and they should lock out the players until the players cave on the salary cap. Even if it means canceling a whole season, there has to be a salary cap
You think they
in Major League
You think
Baseball.
the players go cave?
Eventually they will.
Everybody throws 100. The starter only goes 4 innings, and everybody's waiting for a 3-run homer. There's a funny story I got to tell us while this is totally random.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is true, but I read this that like Pat Corrales, I think was the Indians manager. He went out to the mound. He was talking to the starter. And he said, "Hey, you see Camacho out there in the bullpen?" He goes, "You really want me to bring Camacho into this game? Finish it now!" Like that's how much the game has evolved. Where you didn't want to go to the bullpen. Like that was
most of the guys outside of one guy in the pen. Most of the guys in the pen would
awful.
bad.
You know what the best era was?
For baseball,
The steroid era.
Absolutely.
juice them all up and let them go.
I got no problem with steroids.
They was hitting 85 kids don't do steroids, but they was hitting 85 home runs a week. It was Bonds,
It was
McGuire.
fun.
Hey, listen, when you got rent, you got to think about it. I was watching the McGuire social thing, right?
Yeah.
And I ain't seen so many black people in the audience in my life. There was I said, what the heck are they doing there? It was McGuire Sosa. They would play it at the, you remember? I was watching ABC Nightly News. Dan Rather and Ted Koppel was like, and Mark McGuire has hit
it was great. It was great. Now they
My
would never
hero.
do that. And Sammy Sosa's black again. What happened?
Free
He
Mark
was
McGuire.
black. He was white. Now he's black again.
Mark McGuire didn't take no steroids.
Oh my God!
You stop.
He did.
He did turn.
And
He
ate
did
him
do the
like
Michael
cereal.
Jackson. He did
Well, we
do
got
the
to get
Michael
to
Jackson.
Super Chats. Before we do, Jason and Tyvis answered. This was the longest winded ever.
I said Jared Allen.
You said Allen and G. Who you going with?
Man, it's Darius Garland. Darius Garland, come on, bro. You're an all-star. You had a good game last week. Get your game together, bro. Your game. You are supposed to be He's a borderline All-NBA type player, right?
That's
Borderline.
a sad state of affairs because he'd be averaging 9 points a game in the 80s.
Well, if you say that this is Darius' team, he'll give you 40.
All right.
It's not Darius' team.
No.
Well, then he ain't going to
All right, Mike, Super Chats.